There are boats that arrive on the scene with fireworks and bold claims and a press campaign that promises to change sailing forever, like the new Beneteau First 30. And then there are boats that simply stay for a really long time. They keep showing up in anchorages, they keep crossing oceans quietly, they keep getting bought and sailed on and lived on and sold again, and then sailed some more. The Catalina 42 is very much that second kind of boat. You don't hear people bragging about owning one in quite the same way they brag about owning something more exotic. What you hear instead is something far more interesting. Owners who actually use these boats a lot, often for a very long time. Before we get into why the Catalina 42 Mark II feels so perfectly at home, it's worth stepping back and looking at how this boat really came to be and how it quietly evolved into one of the most successful production cruising sailboats of its size. And if you want one, Bay Harbor Brokerage in Virginia just had one for sale on their YouTube channel, so you may want to call them and start there if you're looking. That's the one I'm showing you today. The Catalina 42 was introduced in 1989. This is the OG Mark I boat, during a period when Catalina Yachts was already one of the most dominant builders in the American sailboat market. At the time, Catalina's philosophy was pretty well established. Build boats that ordinary sailors can afford, maintain, and actually sail, without chasing extremes in performance or luxury, or carbon fiber racing yachts. The original 42, what we now call the Mark I, was built from 89 through 94. All of these boats were built in Southern California, where Catalina's primary manufacturing operations were based at the time. The Mark I was immediately successful. It offered something many sailors were looking for in the late 80s and early 90s. Real interior volume, a manageable rig, and systems that didn't require calling your grandkids to help you understand. But success doesn't mean perfection. As the fleet grew and miles accumulated, owners did what sailors always do. They talked, but Catalina listened. Feedback on the Mark I tended to cluster around a few common themes: cockpit ergonomics, helm feel, stern access, and rudder authority, particularly on the shoal draft boats. None of these are fatal flaws, but together they pointed toward refinement rather than reinvention. In 1995, Catalina introduced the Catalina 42 Mark II. This was not a marketing rename or a reface. The Mark II represented a meaningful evolution of the design of the boat, informed by several years of real-world use. The hull and deck tooling were revised, the cockpit layout was improved, the stern treatment was modernized and made more functional. The overall feel of the boat, especially from the helm, became more confident and composed. One of the most important changes was the rudder. Early shoal draft Mark I boats were equipped with a relatively short rudder paired with the wing keel, which could limit control in certain conditions. The Mark II received a deeper, higher aspect semi-elliptical rudder that significantly improved steering authority and overall handling. That single change did a lot of the heavy lifting for the design's long-term reputation. Now, here's where the story gets even more interesting. The transition from Mark I to Mark II did not coincide with the change in where the boats were being built. Early Catalina 42 Mark II boats from the mid-90s to the early 2000s were still built out in California. They were very much part of Catalina's West Coast production lineage, sharing construction methods, workforce experience, and manufacturing culture with early models. But in the early to mid-2000s, Catalina underwent a major shift as a company. Production began transitioning to Florida, where Catalina invested in a new, modern manufacturing facility in Largo, Florida. This wasn't about fixing a problem, it was about scale and logistics and modernization. Florida offered closer proximity to East Coast markets, better shipping efficiency, and the opportunity to update production workflows without disrupting the ongoing output. As a result, later Catalina 42 Mark II boats, including many of the mid-2000s onward, were built in Florida rather than California. An 06, like we're looking at today, for example, is almost certainly a Florida boat. Did that change the boat, structurally and philosophically? No, not at all. Catalina didn't redesign the hull, alter the laminate schedule, or change the engineering fundamentals when production moved east. What did change was refinement. By the time production reached Florida, Catalina had well over a decade of owner feedback and warranty data and field experience baked into their build. Later Mark II boats tend to feel slightly more sorted, not radically different, but incrementally improved in systems and layout and fit and finish. This isn't a knock on California-built boats, it's simply the benefit of time and accumulated knowledge. Now let's talk about why this boat works so well as a Caribbean cruiser and is kind of the default that people choose. A big part of the 42's success comes down to scale. At just over 42 feet, this boat sits right in the sweet spot for a cruising couple. It's large enough to live comfortably, to have family visit with real separation of spaces, proper tankage, and decent storage, but it's still small enough to be handled without a professional crew or some sort of heroic effort. The boat was offered with both a deep fin keel and a shoal draft wing. The shoal draft version draws just under 5 feet, 4 foot 10, and that number matters in a lot of places like the Bahamas and the Keys and much of the Eastern Caribbean. That shallow draft opens up anchorages that deeper boats simply can't use. It reduces the stress when navigating poorly marked waters and allows owners to anchor closer to shore where protection and comfort are often better. Yet the wing keel is a compromise. It won't point as high as the fin, but for the type of sailing most owners actually do in the Caribbean, reaching and running and shallow water exploring, it's a very smart compromise. Under sail, the 42 Mark II behaves exactly as a moderate displacement cruiser actually should. In very light air, it's not eager. This is not a boat that dances along in 5 knots of breeze. But once the wind builds into high single digits, low teens, the boat settles into a steady rhythm. Heel angles are modest. The boat stiffens up pretty quick. Reefing is usually done for comfort rather than necessity. Owners consistently report that the 42 feels happiest when sailed conservatively and rewards good seamanship rather than aggressive trimming. Downwind on a reach, the boat really comes alive, which aligns perfectly with Caribbean sailing conditions. Below decks, the Mark II shows why it became such a popular liveaboard platform in the first place. Interior layouts have varied over the years, but the two most common are the 2-cabin and the 3-cabin. The 2-cabin is often preferred by full-time cruisers. It offers a spacious aft cabin, functional nav desk, a generous galley, and a forward Pullman berth. Storage is excellent, and the boat feels open without being wasteful of space. The 3-cabin layout adds a second aft cabin, making it attractive for families or charter use, but it does so at the cost of some storage in the galley area. It works well for the right owner, but it's a clear trade-off. In both cases, the 42 benefits from wide beam that's carried aft, good headroom throughout the boat, and an interior that feels bright and livable rather than dark and cave-like. Tankage is another strong point. Depending on the layout and the year, water capacity ranges from 110 to about 130 gallons with dual holding tanks, and fuel capacity in the mid 40-gallon range. For Caribbean and coastal passage making, that's entirely reasonable, especially when paired with sensible energy management. Auxiliary power comes from a Yanmar, typically in the 50+ horsepower range, which is more than adequate for a boat of this displacement. The installation is straightforward and accessible, another quiet advantage when cruising far from specialized service centers. Of course, though, no boat escapes time. Anyone considering a 42 Mark II should pay close attention to deck hardware, bedding, chain plates, rudder bearings, steering components, and original plumbing. These are not Catalina-specific problems, they're age-related realities. What matters is that the structure is sound and the systems are laid out logically enough that maintenance and upgrades are manageable for you if you're going to buy one. And this is where the 42 Mark II continues to shine. Access is reasonable throughout. Systems are familiar, parts are available. The owner community behind these boats is enormous. If something needs attention, chances are someone else has already solved it and documented the solution. And if you're going to buy one of these boats and have some sort of special mission, like you want to sail to Hawaii or somewhere else, I'll bet you can find online where someone's already done it with this make and model and can give you advice. That kind of institutional knowledge is invaluable, especially for cruising sailors who are not trying to reinvent the wheel, we're just following in the path of other cruising sailors. So why does the Catalina 42 Mark II deserve its reputation as one of the most successful Caribbean cruising boats ever made? Because it threads the needle. It's small enough to handle easily for 2 people, big enough to live on, shallow enough to explore, but solid enough to trust. It's common enough that ownership never really feels lonely. It doesn't demand that you have heroics. It doesn't punish restraint. It doesn't try to impress you every second. It simply does the job, year after year, anchorage after anchorage, which in a world of cruising sailboats is the highest compliment there is. If you like that cruiser, I bet you'd also like this article that we have called the $100,000 Cruiser Showdown, how the Catalina 380 stacks up. The 380's extra 5,000 pounds of displacement and clever aft cabin set you apart from similarly priced rivals. But how does it stack up on speed and accommodations and long-term value? This article is a great read if you want to do some more learning today. I'll leave a link in the description for you. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up. Really helps, and it lets YouTube know that you want to see more sailboat videos like this. And don't forget to subscribe so we can see you again next time.